Good morning, children, and a warm welcome to our online Sunday school class. Hope all of you are safe and healthy. Children, hope this new year 2021 has begun on a new note for all of you. We are glad to inform you that we have completed the second book of our syllabus, which was titled Bible Basics. We managed to complete the 4 lessons in the 4 weeks of Advent. This means that we have already completed 2 out of the 3 books of our syllabus for this year. Does anyone recollect the title of the first book? It was The Patriarchs and Moses. How many of you were able to recollect the name? Great. Let us test your memory some more. Do you remember the names of the patriarchs that we learnt? Abraham was the first of the patriarchs. God has promised Abraham 2 things: the promised land of Canaan for him and his descendants. Secondly, that his descendants will be like the stars in the sky and the grains of sand on the shore, which means a great nation. However, as we already know, the old couple, Abraham and Sarah, were childless. Then, as promised by God, Sarah bore a son. Do you remember his name? Yes, his name was Isaac. He too is a patriarch. Who is the next patriarch after Isaac? His son, Jacob. Remember what we learned about Jacob's dream about the stairway to heaven and the angels coming down the stairs and going back up to heaven? Jacob is the next patriarch. How many sons did Jacob have? 12 sons. We also learned about one of his sons, Joseph, how his brothers hated him, sold him, how he became the governor of Egypt and brought his family to Egypt during the 7 years of famine. Do you remember all that? After the descendants of Jacob has settled down and multiplied in Egypt, after several years they were made to work as slaves for the king of Egypt. God sent a man to deliver them, and his name was Moses. We learnt about the birth of Moses, him encountering God from the burning bush that we see in the visual, and how he and Aaron, with God's help, freed the people of Israel after 430 years of living in Egypt. Yes, 430 years. We also learn that God gave Moses the 10 Commandments. However, the people of Israel made and worshipped a golden calf. This was against the first commandment of God, and that angered God so much that he told Moses that none of the adults who were involved in this worship will enter the promised land. Due to this, God made them wander in the wilderness for 40 long years. Just imagine, look at that visual you see in front of you. That is the wilderness we are talking about. And in the wilderness for 40 long years. A look at the given map, look at the orange line that you see. That reveals that in the 40 years of wandering, the Israel people covered hundreds of kilometers of tough terrain. Although they had sinned, complained, grumbled against God and Moses, yet God did not forsake his people. He provided them with manna from heaven and quails every day and water whenever they needed. This solved the most important concern about food for the 6 lakhs plus people of Israel. For the last 40 years, the people of Israel had mostly seen the wilderness. And finally, now they had reached very close to the promised land, the land of milk and honey that was promised to them, the land of plenty. Imagine how happy they would have been. But what about Moses? Although he had done almost everything that the Lord had told him and had brought the people of Israel to the banks of the Jordan River, but as told by God, he would not enter the promised land with the people of Israel. He had to select a new leader for the next phase of the journey. However, God wanted Moses to see the promised land from afar. Hence, he led Moses to Mount Nebo. And you can see in the visual Moses standing on Mount Nebo, from where he can see the vast expanse of the promised land, where he will never set his foot. How sad he must have been. Yes, Moses died on Mount Nebo after he had appointed his successor Joshua, the son of Nun, to lead the people of Israel into the promised land. This brings us to the third and final book of our syllabus for this year's Sunday school. The title of this book is Joshua and the Judges. Joshua will lead the people into the promised land. Israel people had led a nomadic life for the last 40 years, which means they were wandering from one place to another. However, now they will be united as one nation, where they will settle down in the new land which was given by God. So, the title of the first lesson from this book is Entry into the Promised Land. This will happen when the people of Israel will cross the Jordan River, which was in between them and the Promised Land. All this will be covered in detail in the lesson video. However, let me draw your attention to what exactly will the people of Israel feel, their emotions. Yes, they will be very happy, no doubt about it. And along with the happiness when they have reached the Jordan River, I am sure they must have prayed and they must have thanked God. Isn't it? They will have surely thanked God for having brought them through this rough terrain to the promised land. God does numerous things in our lives to keep us happy. Do we pause to say thank you to God? Or do we just take it for granted? As they say, better late than never. So let us all join in singing this beautiful hymn, We Thank Thee, which is sung by the great singer Jim Reeves, by clicking on the next video. Thereafter, do complete the lesson video and the quiz. Thank you so much. Have a great day.